Hallelujah. Thank you, Jesus. You know, I'm not going to wait for anybody to come up on today because me coming up here, it has a lot to do with the video that I placed on my wall with the genociding of Black lives. But this is not just a genocide of Black lives. This is the genociding of America, okay? And I do believe that the racism and people having and not having, all of these are dices that they use to keep division, to keep separation. Well, I'm up here this morning. I want to first say good morning to you. I'm going to try to be brief with this, and I'm not going to be coming up for about a week or so, because if you would go and just watch that video, it would break your heart, okay? So I'm pleading with you to just watch the video, okay? It's not to cause division. It is just to bring awareness so you can know what is going on in your world, okay? And so I want to say first and foremost, God bless you, baby. God bless you. I'm going to keep on with this. I'm not up here to preach. I'm not up here to I want you to watch that video that's on my page if you have not already watched it, the genociding of Black lives. It will bring tears to your eyes if you watch that video, okay? And this is not about Black people. This is not about white people. This is about America. This is about the United States of America, and our position in our world, you know. God bless you, Evangeline. I'm so glad to have you up here. And so I'm going to be kind of brief. I'm not up here to preach. I want to say first that what I'm doing right now is very hard for me, okay? Very hard. God bless you, Christian. It's very hard. Why is it very hard? Because I've never, ever talked about things in a prophetic mode. Other than preaching the gospel. But everyone that knows me personally know that I have never said one thing since I was a kid that has not come to pass. Not one thing. Not one of my words have ever failed. Okay? So I'm up here today because this is very important. And I need us to come together as a people. Not a black race, not a white race, but a human race, a godly people. And we have to really take our places in this world and get out of trying to become famous, or, you know, some people want to be famous, some people want to be rich, some people want to be known. All of these things are irrelevant. We need to be influence in our world so we will be able to change the lives of those that are in danger. Yes, our world is in danger, y'all. So if you have not watched that video by Mike Adams, our brother, this is our brother, who put his life on the line every day trying to display what is taking place with the CDC, with the control, the Center of Disease Control, with the pharmaceutical companies, with the food industry, with the vaccine industry. We have to become aware of what's taking place in our world, okay? When I was a young girl, I told my mom, I was 11 years old, and at this time, they didn't have those barcodes on. They didn't have those barcodes on all our food items. We didn't have to use that to buy our food. They only had it on big items like washing machines and things of that sort. Well, I had saw one outside on the ground, and I picked it up and I ran in the house. And when I ran in the house, I showed my mom. I said, "Mama, this is going to be something that we're not going to be able to buy anything without this code." Now, don't ask me how I knew. I wasn't really locked in church. My family wasn't raised in church, but I knew that that barcode was going to be something that we could not buy or sell without. I knew that at 11 years old in 1971, somewhere around there. It might have been 1970, but it wasn't being used at that time, just on big items, you know. And so after today, I probably won't be on Facebook for about a week or so, because I really need to spend time with the Lord. And I want you to know that we are in trouble, okay? Take a look at that video. It's going to bring tears to your eyes. I promise you, you're going to cry. It's going to hurt you because of what's happening and what is being permitted to happen by our government. And while we sit back and we become religious and we preach to the choir, because we cannot preach to the choir and expect the world to be changed. We are here to infiltrate our world. And I said that about my mother because right before my mother was she went to the hospital for a colonoscopy. I had gotten my mother off of all this medication because when I first came back home, you guys, she was falling, just randomly falling, and she was shaking, and she didn't know what was happening to her. And I looked up her medications and found out that the medications were causing the epilepsies. It was causing her to fall. It was causing all these things. And she was on 3 types of antidepressants. And when I talked to the doctor about it, the doctor actually got angry with me and didn't want to be my mom's doctor anymore. And because he was telling me that my mother was going to be depressed for the rest of her life, so she had to take the antidepressants for the rest of her life, which these antidepressants cause early onset, early Alzheimer's. Okay, and it causes abstraction from you. You understand? And so what it did, it caused her to have epilepsies. And so when I went to question the doctor abandoned his medical profession with my mom. He did not want to be her doctor any longer. And so they took her off the medicine. Believe it or not, my mother was not depressed anymore after that medicine got out of her system. But they didn't take her off of the counteract medicine, which was the medicine, the Trileptal for the epilepsies. So she was still having the epilepsies. And so I looked that up. And when I came home from California, my mother was in the hospital and they was keeping her asleep in the bed. Because usually when you start getting sick all the time, the insurance companies, they try to get rid of you because this is leaning on the insurance, all right? Okay, so they was keeping her asleep in the bed as if she was dying or something because they was telling me that she was going to break down. She probably wasn't going to be able to walk. She wasn't going to be able to do this. Well, me, I know everybody always say, you're not a doctor, you're not this, you're not that. Look, I've been studying for a long time, you guys, okay? I dropped out of school in the 9th grade. My highest grade completed was the 8th grade. Okay, I've never had a minimum wage job in my life. My jobs have always been corporate America. Okay, so don't tell me what God won't do. He made me study the dictionary, and if you study the dictionary, you're halfway there. Okay, and then I had to go and I had to study the books in philosophy like Voltaire, like Plato. Like these are things that God made me study. I had to study math, theories of electrons, theories of I studied the body structure. I studied the brain structure and how things are operating, the metals in the body that they utilize with the RNA to connect to the brain cells of men to control people's lives. There is some stuff taking place in our world that we can't play with this thing any longer. We must totally surrender to the will of God for our life, because this is not a religious move. This is a kingdom move, and we are here to infiltrate and to save lives. We are here to literally save lives. Okay, so if you go look at that video, if you have not looked up that video with Mike Adam, our brother Mike Adam, I'm admonishing you, I'm begging you to look at this video. Okay, it's going to bring tears to your eyes. Okay, you're going to know what's happening in your world. Okay, we need to know what's happening. You know, I used to just sit and every time when I looked at TV, I never looked at anything but CNN. I was always looking at the news. But God was training me young. He trained me when I first got saved. He started training me. Now, he didn't just make me read the Bible. He made me read everything that pertaineth to the human soul. Okay, so I had to study. I had to study not just the word. I had to study what's going on with the soul of man. Okay, so I said all that to say that everything that I have ever said, and my sister is the only one here, and brothers to verify what I am saying, has never fell to the ground. And I never prophesied. I might, and I don't know it. Okay, but I realized when I first met my husband, I told him that, you know, people are placed in order. to prevent things. You understand? People are placed in order because we have a upper echelon in our world that is trying to play God over people's lives. Okay, this is why it's so imperative that we go inward, because the Lord told me in 1999 to 2001 that if we didn't go in, that you're not going to be able to get into your own self. You'll be locked out because they're messing with the cellular structure of man. Now, if your body is made of cells and you talk on a cell phone, of course they can send messages to the cellular structure and cause people to do the things that they want them to do. Of course they can. Now, this is the prevention plan for those that the Lord has ordained, that the Lord has chosen before the foundation of the world. We were chosen before we got here. You just have to go back to your origin so you can realize what you're here to do. But we were chosen before we got here. So I told my mother that. And when she was in the hospital, you guys, and they were scanning her medicine, for you that just coming on, I'm talking about the barcode. She said, Gay, you remember when you was a little girl? She said, you told me that we wasn't going to be able to buy or sell without that barcode. She said, look, they can't even give me my medicine without it. And I'm going to tell you, they did an imaging test on my mom before they killed her with the colonoscopy. And the imaging test, when she came back up, they had tortured her. She was smoking. She smelled like smoke. They fried her from the inside. I never told anybody this, but it's in the autopsy, okay? Now, I'm going to tell you something. We live in a wicked world. And I don't care what anybody says. You know, this is heartbreaking for me, because we have a church that's more concerned about being above their brother, more concerned with how much money they can get, more concerned with who sees them and being famous than they are about the souls of humanity, when people are literally dying because of our neglect, and God has called us to move inward. He has called us to become kingdom oriented so we can go out here and reach the world and save and collect the harvest, not just so they can be saved and go to heaven, but so they can be saved from the world, so they can be saved from what the world's and the Satan's plan is for the world. Satan has fooled just a few people. You got an upper echelon that they are doing population control, okay? It's called population control, and they are killing the masses because we are ignorant to the enemy's devices. The Bible says, I would not have you ignorant of the enemy's devices. Well, that was what made me go on Facebook. When that happened to my mother, I got on Facebook, okay? Because I had gotten a Facebook page in 2010, I do believe, but I never came up there until my mother was murdered, because that's murder, you know. And I'm not slandering anybody. I'm telling you, they're killing people. And I didn't want my mom to be cremated because I wanted somebody to pay for what they had done. And I wanted them to be able to exhume her body so they would be able to see what happened. And I want you to know, she was all jumbled up in there. They had messed her up that bad. And so I want you to know that we as a church, we are not a black church. We are not a white church. We are the kingdom church. And if we are preaching kingdom, then we are supposed to stand as one. In every aspect, we are supposed to stand at once, stand as one. I'm asking you to look at that video that is on my page. Our brother Mike Adam puts his life on the line every day to make people aware of what our government is doing to us as a people. And it is targeted towards blacks, but is affecting everyone in the human race. Okay, so we have to get on our P's and Q's. We cannot be, you know, Facebook is a place where people can come up here and they can be whatever they want to be. You know, everybody that come up here are not what they pretend to be. Although I may be authentic, you understand, there are people up here that are not authentic. So on Facebook, you can become whatever you want to be. You don't even have to be the real deal. Your picture may not be your picture. You know, your name may not be your name. You understand? So Facebook is a place where people can mask themselves. They can mask themselves and become whatever they want to others, unless you are spiritual and you can see through it. Okay? So I'm saying this to say that there is something that is transpiring in our world. And I told my husband, I put up some pictures sometime back 4 months ago, and it was a picture of a machine called Kern. Kern. It's spelled C-E-R-N. It is a machine that they put that they're working on now, where it can shatter protons. It can shatter electrons. It can shatter the spirit, so to speak. And when you feel a lot, sometimes it may not be because they're causing people to fight each other. So that's why you can't charge your brother or your sister foolishly, because it could be coming from NASA. And I had a brother come to me, didn't know who he was at the time. I thought he was an angel. This was in came to the Denny's, because this is electronic, and so they can mess with your electronic stuff. So this is electronic. So I'm getting ready to tell you some stuff that they don't want you to know. Who is they? The government. Who is they? The people that are controlling our society and controlling humanity. Those that have not went into themselves and taken control of their lives. One of the things that the Illuminati say, that if the people would just take control, if they would only stop looking for the thing on the outside to please themselves and go in and retrieve themselves, then they would be able to understand that we have no power over them apart from them being absent of themselves. Okay, so it's an important thing. That's why I've been preaching kingdom, because kingdom deals with you going inside to find you, because only the Lord can give you who you are. Only the Lord can show you who you are. Church is set up to moralize, and if they cannot take you into the kingdom because they do not have those instructions, then they can only moralize you. They can prepare you and get you sanctified so you can go into a deeper and more holier place. But if they don't have the means of taking you in, then you are left out there to be manipulated by that machine that starts with C-E-R-N. Now they are controlling the weather, HAARP, and other Gwen. All of these machines that they are utilizing to control our world because they want to be God. Well, you have to go and look at this video that is on my page. I promise you it's going to bring you to tears. And Mike Adams, who is putting himself on the line, who is a legitimate scientist that is willing, because he said that he has to stand before a living God, and he will not stand before God knowing the things that he knows and not making people aware of it. And so we too must become an influence in our world, and we cannot fight and race against one another, because we are all at risk here. The blacks and the whites, the Chinese and the Filipino. We are all at risk here. We are all at risk. Everyone in the world is at risk because man is trying to play God. All right. So we have to get into our places. So to take it further, the Lord told me, he said, Gay, I want you to go. He made me read in every book that I ever read and ever had to study. And I hated doing this stuff, you guys, because I wasn't a reader, you know, but I hated doing this stuff. But he made me read, he made me study. And for my white brothers and sisters that know that this stuff is taking place and you are benefiting off of the blindness of the blacks, or off of the blindness and the ignorance of other cultures, you are going to stand before the judgment seat of God. Maybe you already know your judgment, but then there are all my white sisters and brothers that they are on the bandwagon. They are kingdom oriented. They are my sister. They are my brother. They are with us all the way. You understand? Because they understand that this is not about a race. They use racism to keep us divided. This is not about money. They use money to keep us divided. This is not about prestige. They use prestige to keep us divided. We must understand. And that's why even those that become a part of the Marine Kingdom, they are self-indulged. They are only thinking about themselves. They're not thinking about their human race. They're not thinking about the people that are at risk. They are not in place because they love God. They are in place because they love themselves. Even them, they are nothing but pawns in the hand of a wicked nation. They are nothing but pawns, that they will fight their own brother, that they will fight their own sister, that they will become a hindrance to a movement that is taking place. You know, they're a hindrance to a regime that don't care nothing about them. They give them a piece of muddle. They're giving you a crumb. They're giving you a crumb, and you're like a dog coming against your own brothers and sisters, knowing that you're going to perish. Why are you doing this? Look at that video on my page. I promise you it's going to make you cry. Some of the things that are transpired in our world are being influenced. It has nothing to do with God. It has nothing to do with the devil. It has something to do with government. It has something to do with secret societies. And we must come to this knowledge that if we don't get in our place, what are we here for? Why are we saved if we are not going to help the homeless, the people that are without God? If we're not going to help them, when I say homeless, I'm not talking about living outside. That too. I'm talking about living outside of you. Everybody in our world, until they find God, they live outside of themselves. They are at risk. They are at risk. They can be used by the enemy. And even if they don't want to be used, they can be used because they are outside of who they really are. And this is why we are racing against time. And we are being occupied with the pleasures of this world that are being poisoned by a regime that cares nothing about us. That's why when you go into prayer, we have to pray that God endows us and brings us into his kingdom. So we will understand that we are not one another's enemy, but we have a greater enemy that we must fight. We have a greater enemy that we must fight. And if we allow the enemy to use our own self-absorbed emotions, our own self-absorbed brokenness to hurt one another, to hurt each other, then we are a part of what Satan is doing. We have become a part of the regime that is trying to terminate, the way that humanity was meant to flow. So look at that tape, you guys. Now, when God told me, Gay, go get this book, go get that book. And I said when I opened up the academy, and it has been a great hindrance to me. Because what do? They attack your resources. Now, the Leviathan is not just somebody, not just a religious system, not just, that's the baby of the dragon, okay? A great dragon, So the dragon is a system, a bestiality, a system that is full of bestiality. Yeah, because it is beasts that are running this system. You understand? So that's why Leviathan was in Job, because he was eating away Job's family. He was eating away Job's resources. He was eating away everything that pertained to Job. But Job was being tested. His love was being tested. You understand what I'm saying? And I'm not here to preach today. I'm here to make you aware, and I want you to go look at that tape because I have to go somewhere. You understand? But when the Lord started telling me to study all these things, I said, God, what this got to do with the Bible? This has nothing to do with you. But it has everything to do with the Bible, because people are being influenced by all of these things. And he showed me. Now, when he told me, I said, I'm going to put all these books in the academy when I open up the academy, because we're going to have a library where people can come in at least 4 days or 5 days a week and sit down and study. But he would not let me study anything before 1862. Because he said after slavery, they started altering all of the information. He said after slavery, all the books began to become altered. So I've never read books that were after 1862. So I had to read all of the books that were published. Not all of them, but so many. I've read so much stuff, you guys, that didn't make any sense. Now, if I wasn't in the mind of God, this stuff could drive you crazy, But I'm in the mind of the Lord. So he taught me these books. He taught me and made me to understand what they meant, from geometry to trigonometry. All of the things that were put in place for the purposes of controlling electronic system, which is the beast. Okay, connected to Leviathan. It's a dragon, okay? Yes, it's a beast that is connected to Leviathan, this great dragon that we are to contend with, but we cannot contend with as long as we live on the outskirts of life according to the physical nature and not go inward. And this is where the sacrifices take place. And if we did it the way that the apostles did, where they gave to everybody so they would have no need of nothing, so they didn't have to depend on a Roman regime, then everybody will be able to unplug and go in and find their origin. But people cannot unplug from the system. So as long as they're tied into the system, as long as they have to work for the system and uphold the lie, then they are unoccupied inwardly, and they cannot find their way in because they're too tired when they get off from their jobs. They're too tired after they take care of their family. They're too tired after they take care of the cares of life to go in and find out the truth that resides on the inside of them. So they keep us occupied on I just couldn't take it anymore. So I sacrificed everything, you guys, to go in. because we need to help our people. Not just black people, but our people, the human race. We are here to influence our world. You understand? And I said to the Lord, I studied astronomy books. I know I'm not a witch, but astronomy is used in the medical industry. I don't know if you know this, but they use astronomy in the medical. That's how they choose your medicine for you. They choose your medicine based on astronomy, based on your body mass. Okay? I didn't know that. I was looking through some of my mama's stuff, and I saw that some of it was connected to astronomy. And so I went to look up astronomy, and I went all the way back to the 1300s, to the 11th century, to even all the way back to Jesus, when they were studying the stars and they knew he was coming. And they studied the stars and they knew Moses was coming. They're still studying the stars. They know you're coming. Our real birth is based on Brunswick time. It's not based on this time. Everybody starts at 12. Everybody starts at 12. And I know this how? Because I've studied those books of the stars. So when they begin to terminate us and they begin to take away our life force, they are hitting the star mass. So you are connected to a star. That's why the Bible say that they did, in 12th chapter of Revelation, they did draw the 12th part of the star, the third part. You are made 3 parts, body, soul, and spirit. Satan did draw the third part of the stars of heaven with his tail, and did cast them down to the earth. He cast the stars down to the earth. And so we have been reduced to the earthen part of us. We have been reduced, even our soul is reduced to the earthen part of us, okay? And the spirit man has been neglected and called a subconscious being because it is neglected. It is unconscious. You are not aware of it, okay? You are not aware of that part of yourself. And people are trying to tap into that part of themselves through calling themselves the secret, through a sense of consciousness. They don't realize. You know, I'm not going to call them evil because they're trying to find a way out of the machine. They're trying to find a way out of the system. So I'm not going to call them evil because they're trying to find a way out. I'm just saying that if you read your Bible, you will understand that Jesus told us that we had to go in. And it doesn't matter what color he was. It matters that he has truth. It mattered that he was the truth. He came to lead us into a truth that was going to bring us out of the lie. What lie? A lie that says that we can live life without him. A lie that says that there is nothing to us but our flesh. There is nothing to us but this world. No, we are made of something deeper, something greater. It is called spiritual mass. It is called spiritual substance. We are substance, you guys, and we must connect to who we are, and that is who he is in us. And you know, Isaac Newton said something in a book that that Harp wrote. Thomas Harp wrote that in a book called Leviathan. If you would like, you can go research this book. God made me read stuff that I didn't want to read, you know. Thomas Harp, this book called Leviathan. The man looked like King James or somebody, but he just standing up, and all the people were inside of him because they looked to his headship. Okay, but he was Thomas Harp. He was a philosopher. He was a scientist, and he talked about how the Spirit of God had been reduced to an organ, the organ of the heart. And I guess that's why they say you must give him your heart, you know. But they were trying to reduce God. They were trying to make where God could not function in his own creation, where they could take over. This is satanic. This is the great dragon. This is not connected to any human being, okay? This is why I'm asking you to go look at the video by Mike Adams on my page. This is not about a black race extermination, because this is not just affecting blacks anymore. This is affecting the human race. And they are using racism to keep us separated. They're using finances to keep us separated. They're using prestige to keep us separated. Anything as a distraction so we will not become one people. But we as the kingdom, we as those that are kingdom minded, that are saying that we love him, that we are the origin of who he is, we must become one. Beyond the race, beyond the money, beyond, you know, our idiosyncrasies, we must become one people, because we have people out here that are dying, that are being used for experimentation purposes, that are being used to kill other people, whether they want to kill them or not. They're being used because they are able to manipulate the brain. They are able to manipulate the body of man. Look, if your body is made of a cellular structure, okay, then your body is becoming a cell phone. Okay, they can you are becoming a phonology. You understand? Meaning it's a study of phonics, being manipulating the cellular structure of man, causing us to do what they want. So they're using and they're putting people in position like pawns. We are becoming pawns on a chessboard. And so I want to tell you about this young man that I met before these things began to happen in my life. You know, because my life became very devastating after I got saved, because I started hearing God. And I didn't know if God was talking to me or not, because I was so newly saved, you know. But I was hearing him. And he was saying, Gay, this is what they're going to do here. Gay, this is what and I go tell people, and they laugh at me, and they say, girl, you don't know what you're talking about. Girl, you don't know what you're talking about. But everything that I have ever said from 1980 to now has come to pass. Not one word has fallen to the ground. And people look at, you know, Solomon said that a poor man's words are not heard. A poor man's wisdom is ignored because he is poor. Because you got to have money to be heard. This is sad. This breaks my heart. Because I am watching people fight each other. I am watching people compete against each other. They ain't in the kingdom because you don't do that. Because we are supposed to love one another. We are brothers and sisters. And we have work to do. And we cannot do it alone. We have to do it together. We have work to do. You understand? You need to look at that tape. And I hope that it does to you what it did to me. It brought tears to my eyes. Although I have always wept for the people in my world, I have always cried out. Satan's job is to prevent what is real from moving into a place of influence. That's his assignment, you guys. That's his assignment, okay? And I said, well, God, if I got all of this, yes, baby, because he saw you coming in, Carol. I'm not trying to change the subject. He saw you coming in. And whenever he see us moving towards the mark, just like in slavery, and by the way, black people are not the only ones that have been in slavery, okay? Whites were in slavery too. I just want you to know that. So this is not a black message. This is not a white message. This is a message from heaven. I want you to know that God is calling on his people, okay? Carl, he saw you coming in, baby. And when he see you moving towards truth, when he see you moving towards authentic, I'm letting you know right now, he's going to come after your loved ones. He's going to come after your resources. He's going to come after everything that is dear to you. This is why the apostles put everything that they had together. They had to become one to fight that system. And all roads lead back to Rome. All roads lead back to Rome. You understand? And now everybody is on board with the experimenting. We are nothing but an open cesspool for scientists. We are open cesspool for experimentation. What they did to my mother will never go away. It will never go away. I watched them. I was there. Okay? I watched them drain all of the blood out of her body while they put all of the fluid inside of her, which took away the pain of her death. But I'm telling you now that we have to get in our position. We cannot fight and win, because a kingdom that is divided against itself cannot stand. And if you are truly kingdom, then you must make up in your mind that you're going to do it the way that the Lord has instructed us according to that book. And I know many say that this book is not a true book. Let me tell you that even the book of the devil, even the book of Satan, everything that ever came out into our world, it all came from God, and it can all be used by him. There is no religion. There is only a kingdom that resides inside of man that we must reach. And that kingdom is you. It is you. Observation. You cannot say, lo, here it is. Lo, there it is. But the kingdom of God is on the inside of you. And so if the kingdom of God is on the inside of you, then the job of Satan is to keep you outside of yourself. The job of Satan is to keep you limited to what you see, keep you limited to what you feel, keep you limited to what you want people to see you. But don't you want God to see you? So we have to go in. We must go in so we can become what we were designed to be in this realm. So when we go home, we can hear him say, well done, my good and faithful servant. You have done well. Come on in. Come on in. Okay? So look, we have to realize, you guys, that there's a regime and there's an assignment taking place right now. And for those of my brothers and sisters that are Caucasian, and you know about this assignment, it is time for you to take a stand. It is time for you to take a stand. Look, I'm going to tell you something. There is no such thing as a racist, a peace. Why would you even name it race? Because they got us racing against one another. They got us fighting against one another. Okay? We are racing against time. We cannot allow racism and all other things to keep us distracted from our real reason for being here. We are here for a purpose. We are here for a reason. Okay? And our reason is to get people back to where they belong, which is with our Father. They have to get inside themselves. And they have to know that they can be seen by the world and never be seen by God. See? So let me finish telling you this so I can get off of here. So astronomy was one of the things that the Lord made me study, which is connected to this machine called CERN, C-E-R-N, which now they're utilizing to shatter brain mass. They're shattering the energy of man. That's why you're down to green energy. The Bible says that all flesh is like grass. So you're down to green energy. It started out with the red energy, which is, nuclear. It's in the electronic state. Now, that they started out with that. Then they went to the blue energy, which is the water. That's atomic state. That's when they got into the bombs and all this. Now they're down to the green energy. That's us. Okay? So we have to realize that we must go in. We must go in. And we are nothing but an experiment to a higher regime. A higher regime. They don't care nothing about, not even their own mother. Okay? So, they'll kill their own mother. So you have to understand that we cannot continue to stay divided. I will not be up here for about a week because I need to spend time with the Lord, because this is hurting me, and it hurts me to know that all these years I've suffered for the body of Christ, because this is what Jesus did. He suffered for his own kind. The apostles suffered for their own kind, and the very people that they suffer for are the people that came after them. Because they enjoyed the desires and the lust of the flesh more than they did truth. Well, that is only going to last for a season. It's not going to last forever. But when we go into the kingdom that lives inside of us, that is forever. And then we can become an influence in our world, and we can really, truly save souls, save lives. So the Lord would not let me study anything, you guys, beyond 1862. Because he told me the books began to become altered after 1862. And as I began to study, I saw that the stars were being manipulated by machinery. They started first just with reflectors in Plato and Socrates' day. They started with reflectors. And it deals with the consciousness of man, because you have a God inside of you that has been broken off. Yeah, God is in you, but he's not connected to that part of himself. It's like having a whole lot of babies that left home. Okay? So you broke off from him, but you're not connected to him. And so that part of you is God, but it's not connected to God. Okay? And so therefore, the reflector that goes into that part of your consciousness is a mirror. It is a mirror, all right? That is being reflected into, okay, so now they've learned to mirror, to reflect into the soul, okay, what they want to get out of the human life, all right? So now if we don't go in and we don't become connected to our eternal Father, then we are open to be utilized by any devil, because now anybody can do it. Russians can do it. Chinese can do it. Everybody is out there now. Indians can do it. They're all testing on the human race now. The human race is nothing but an open cesspool for scientific study. And we must, look, I don't even hardly eat the food anymore in the store. You understand? Because it's so contaminated with chemicals. It's so contaminated with chemistry. Even the water is contaminated. You understand? So we have to understand that they're doing a population control here. Don't let my brother's risk be in vain. Mike Adams. Don't let his risk be in vain. That video, I know a lot of people didn't want to look at it because it said the genociding of a black people, but it's not just blacks that's being genocided. Because what affects one affects all. It's not just affecting us, it's affecting the human race. So it's not just our race, it's every race that's being affected now. And so we, as the body of Christ, we must get into our proper places. I told my husband, I said, look, when I first met him, and I'm being transparent here. And I saw that he was not my equal. And so I didn't really want to be with my husband because I felt that he was not my equal. You understand what I'm saying? And I know he latched onto me because he had just lost his mother. You understand what I'm saying? He had no one else. And me, I had abandonment issues, so I wasn't going to abandon him. And so they utilized where my husband was to try to manipulate my life. You understand? And they will do that in your life. They will manipulate the people around you because it's called physics. It's physics. You understand? You have become a physical entity to your society. And now that this machine Kern is out there, I put pictures up. If you go down my page, it's showing where your eye is being totally disintegrated. You can see the cataracts in the sky. Okay? I'll put that up again if you would like me to. But you can see the cataracts in the sky. They're disintegrating. They're using the eye as an entry point to disintegrate the brain. They're aging. That's what's causing aging. But if you go inside yourself, you begin to live out of your real self, which is connected to God, you do not really age. I'm 56 years old. I don't look 56. Okay? So you don't really age because you're connecting to spirit. And when you connect to spirit, spirit regenerates cells. Everybody can't live forever. I don't want to. I don't want to live here forever because this is not my home. But everybody can't live forever because then we'll be overpopulated. So that was their way of becoming, giving you your time. And everything is based on your inability to be obedient to your body, to do right by your body, to say, no, body, you can't have this, because the body is just a jacket. It shouldn't make decisions for itself. But we have been reduced to animal nature. So we allow the animal to make decisions for our soul. We allow the animal to make decisions for our spirit. And then we think that being successful is when we get a lot of money. That's why some of the people that have the most, they have all the funds in the world, but they have so much unhappiness, so much emptiness, because they have found out that they given of themselves, but they have not received anything in return. So they are void. They are void. They are nothing but a black hole that is being consumed by life. And that's an emptiness that cannot be fulfilled except by God. Okay? So they're drawn out by the material. Material is black mass. It's nothing but mass. It's something that is set in decay. And when I found this out, I said, Lord, how can I live truth in a lie? It makes you not want to live anymore. Because you realize, I can understand what Solomon felt like. Because the more wisdom you get, the more vexing it is. You understand? But if you have something to look forward to, such as the eternal heavens, you understand? Then you know that you got your assignment that you're going to do. And when you get before God, he's going to say, well done. You've done a great job. And we understand that this is a message that is for all of us. We understand that racism was put in place to bring division. The finances was put in place to bring division, to separate based on financial sex, and prestige, and all of these things. It's a sense of superficial importance that really does not exist if you don't have you. If you don't have you, you have nothing. You gain the world, but you've lost your soul. You gain the world, but your intellect is committed to the world. What is the soul? The soul is your intellect. The soul is your emotion. The soul is your will turned in the wrong direction. Okay? So if your soul, your intellect, your emotion have gained everything that the world can give it, but it doesn't have any spirit, it means that the soul has gained the world, but it has lost you. The real you has been lost. See? So, I look and I say, Lord, how long is this stuff going to happen? And as you see, there are plants all around me. I have signs, papers printed where I wanted to keep positive affirmations in my mind. And I really don't need that. I'm going to tell you why, guys, because I'm connected to my Father. I have been for some time now. And my mom and them knew it when I first came here. And they took my mom out of here, And that was one of the things that drove me to fight, that drove me to open up my mouth. Beyond tradition, beyond religion, and they've been attacking everyone in my family. Every last one of my sisters and brothers have been to the hospital last year, and none of them had ever been sick. Never been in the hospital. But every last one of my siblings that remained. And my oldest sister died from a massive heart attack suddenly at 43 years old, sitting on the toilet, talking on the phone. Bam. out of here. You understand? I mean, I'm just saying, when you're dealing with a system, they're going to take you out of here if you don't connect with God. And religion is not going to save you. You got to get connected to the kingdom. And so the heavenly host will protect you. The heavenly host will cover you in your pursuit to do the will of the Father. But the opposition that we have to deal with is from one another. And this is why I'm up here. Please go and look at that video that's on my page. Look at it. Because it's serious, you guys. This is no time to play, you know. And we can't fight each other, you know. We can't come against each other. You understand? They'll make your own family come against you because they don't understand. People tend to come against you because they don't understand. And when you have this truth, but you have no physical representation of the truth that you hold, because you look like you live in poverty, because you look like you're nothing, because everybody based being something on having something, then things can become very, you know, opposing. It can become very painful. You understand? So I want you to understand that if you look at that picture, that video on my page by Mike Adam, who put his own life on the line for us as a black people, but I'm talking to you as a human race. My family, black, white, Chinese, Indian, those of you that know the truth but will not display the truth, please, come on, we don't have much time left. Because this machine that they're using, they're destroying the fiber of our world. They're destroying the fiber, okay? Because they're messing with time. And you're a product of time. They knew you were coming. Come on, I got books. I'm going to have in the library of the academy if the Lord permit me to open up this school. They have books to show how they know when you're coming. How everybody is on the time of Brunswick, but we are given the time of our particular state, you know. And we're cultivated based on that state. We're cultivated based on that state. You understand? The soil of our mind, the soil of our being is cultivated based on the states that we are coming out of. All right? And so these cause, it intermingles, and it causes somewhat of a conflict. And this is why going in spiritually, this is where we unite with one another. Because it's not male or female, it's not black or white, you know, it's not Jew or Gentile, it's just spiritual. It's us being connected to our eternal Father. You understand? And so and I didn't even come up here intending to be up here for a long time, you know. And I asked the Lord, I said, Lord, you know, because I'm not going to be up here for about a week. Because I need to really spend some time with him. Because this stuff is hurting me. And I see the church fighting each other. I see people fighting each other. Religion is not the way. That's why they're at war with each other. Because the Lord never called us to religion. He called us into the kingdom. That's why they're at war. You know, Islam, you know, Hinduism, Christianity, all Roman Catholic, all these stuffs are at war with each other because religion was never intended to be. And that's why when Yahshua came, he told us about the kingdom. He said, come on, you got to come in. Don't hang out there on the borders now. They're going to hurt you if you hang out there on the borders. Well, I'm telling you, they have machinery to do that now. They can make you a cell phone. That means they can talk to the message center in your mind because you are made out of cellular structure. Okay? And so it's a cell. So they can send messages from through the RNA, which is an artificial DNA, to the message center of the body. And they can get people to do what they want. So if you don't come in now, it's going to be hard for you to get in because they're trying to seal everybody off now, where you won't even be able to get into your own self. You got to come in now. You got to come in now. You understand? You can't hang out there no more. And God to give us the monies because we need to grow our own foods. We have to, because they're poisoning the foods now. And now that they don't have to go through the FDA, they passed a law where they don't even have to go through the FDA. If you take a look at the foods are looking bad. The chickens are no longer clean. You know, you got to look at this stuff, you guys. They're poisoning the food now because it's called population control. And I know that we all can't live forever, but if you get into the kingdom, you're not going to want to stay here forever. Because we have a greater home. And it's nice, you guys. I promise you it's nice. I met up with it. You know, I lost my balance when I got married. My husband would attest to this. because I married someone that was not my equal. And I know people talk about this, and people have taken advantage of my atmosphere because they knew my husband was not my equal, you know. And so they've taken advantage of my atmosphere. But it's okay, you know, because you have to deal with the consequences of your behavior. You have to deal. I will never allow anyone to make me hate because they hate. Because that's not my origin. My origin is love. I might get angry and I might not even talk to you for a minute, but I will never hate. Because once the pain subsides, once the feeling of what you've done go away, I love all over again. You know, so you have to understand that when you, I got thrown off balance, you know. Yeah, because when you're spiritual and you marry somebody that's natural, it'll throw you off balance. It'll throw you off balance. And then what the devil does, he comes in, and who is the devil? The devil is this system. The devil are people that are controlled by this system. They have not went into the kingdom so they can hear the voice of the Father. Okay, that's who the devil is. The devil is anybody that lives in the flesh that can be controlled by the flesh. All right? So when you get thrown off balance like that, it can hurt you. It can hurt you. And then you have these religious systems that were put in place, and people have become spiritual and have gotten out of their bodies. And some of them have become beasts because they had to contend with the beast that they had to, after they got out, you know. They didn't know. And I feel sorry for them because they awakened the wrong way. But the Bible says that you might not be born in, but he can lead you in, you know. He can still lead you in if you've done that. He can still lead you in. He can lead you in. He said that the scribes are led in. They're not born in, they're led in, okay. So that means that they're already woke. You know, but to use that spiritual liberty to hurt your sisters and brothers, to use that spiritual liberty to rape and to defame your sisters and brothers, you're allowing Satan to make you what you were not created to be, which is a beast. You were not created to be these things, okay? So you're allowing Satan to use the lust of your flesh, to use the greed of life, to use all the things that you hate, because when you do these things, you don't like it. Because it's not what goes in us that defiles us. It's what comes out of us that defiles us. This is why when I say things that I shouldn't say, when I do things that I shouldn't do, I hurt. Because my love is for him. And I don't want to hurt him. See? It has nothing to do with keeping rules. It has nothing to do with keeping regulation. It's about my love relationship. And so we don't want to hurt him. See? Because he is our eternal Father. And we want to please him. Those of us that have truly found him. Those of us that have truly found him, we want to please him. So I want to tell you to look at that tape. That videotape, it's not just talking about the genociding of blacks and all that they're doing to blacks, because they started with us. I had a Mormon brother, one of my friends, you know, he's a good friend of mine, white guy. He said, gay, he said it was all right when they was just experimenting on the blacks and the Hispanics. See, we could talk like that because we're friends. He's my brother. He said it was all right when they were experimenting on the blacks and the Hispanics. But now they're doing it to us. We got a problem, see. But they've been doing it a long time is what I'm trying to say. They've been doing it for a long time. Blacks have never really been free. They started working on how to control you before you got out of slavery. I read the books. I've read the books. I've read the books with Einstein. I've read the books with Isaac Newton. I read the books with Hegel. I read the books with John. I read the books with Voltaire. You know, I read these books. I read. God made me read stuff that I hate. You know, all these philosophical, you know, because they call it the philosopher's stone. And now the metals in the body are being manipulated to control temperatures in the body, to manipulate brain waves, to control attitudes and attributes. Because what the burning and that's not a curse. Everything is not a curse. Something are being manipulated by NASA. Okay, and I'm gonna say this one thing and I'm gonna finish. I began to tell you about a guy that I met in 1987 at a restaurant. He was standing there in Denny's. He looked like an angel, you guys. He looked like an angel. He knew what was about to happen to me. He knew, and he came ahead of time. And I know this now. So if he's alive, if he could see what I'm saying right now, you know, I hope he can, because I've come to know who I am now. You see. But he came to Denny's, and he said he was working there, you guys, as a waitress, mind you. And me and my friend, who was taken out of here at 36 years old by a brain aneurysm, because when you, and I lost my hair, but the Lord told me I lost my hair, not through alopecia, but through radiation, you know. Radiation takes your hair out. And when they're continually beaming you, they're not beaming you per se, but they're beaming your star. Yeah, because you are connected to a heavenly place. That's why the Lord told us in Revelation that Satan cast the third part of the stars of heaven to the earth. It means that you were from the heavens and you were cast down to the earth. Okay, you come from a heavenly place. But anyway, not trying to get off. So his name was Eric. That's what he told me. It probably wasn't his real name. But he came to our table, you guys. And when I looked at this dude, I said, "What are you doing here?" I said, "You're out of order." Now, I was only, what, a year and a half old in the Lord. It's 32 years ago, almost 33 years ago. And I said, "What are you doing here? You're out of order." And he said, "I'm working." I said, "But you don't match your gear. You don't match your uniform." And he said, "But I'm here." He looked regal. Okay? And I can't explain it to you. He just looked regal, beautiful. And when I said that, I just left it alone, you know. 2 days later, we used to hang out at the Denny's. That was our place where we go preach to people and talk about the Word of God and all this kind of stuff. Me and my best friend, she was my best friend before she passed away, you know. And they made a backslide first. Like I told you in some of my messages, they can't get you until you come out of covenant, okay? Okay, so get in covenant if you're not in covenant. And so we came back. I came back looking for him, okay? And I don't run after men or nothing, but I knew something was different about this dude, okay? But he put himself in a place to be seen by me. I found out later that when I came back and I asked the waitress about it because he wasn't there, she said we were friends with these people, so they told his business, and they said that he was running from bounty hunters. And I said, "Bounty hunters? This ain't the Wild Wild West," you know, because I had never heard that before, except for on TV, you know. And I didn't know that they had bounty hunters now, you know. And so she said that he was running from bounty hunters. I said, "What? This ain't the Wild Wild West?" She said, "No, these are like agents or something." I said, "Really?" She said, "Yeah." She said, "But he's supposed to come back to get his check, his last check." And so I sat there, me and my friend Vanessa, we just sat there and waited. And he came through the door. My hand to God, you guys. The man came in dressed like he was supposed to be dressed. He had on a suit. You know, had on suit clothes. He matched his suit. And I said, Eric, and I called him over. And this man came over. He picked up his check. He came over. And he said to me, he said, "Gay," he said, "there is a war going on that can't nobody see but the righteous. There is a scream for the world, and there is a scream for those that are heavenly." He said, "And it's like a chessboard game that every move is strategic." And so I'm running from bounty hunters because of what I saw. I said, "Well, what is your real job?" He said, "I work at NASA in aero design. And I saw something that I shouldn't have saw." He said, "But I want you to know that our people are still in slavery." This hurts me a little bit. Because I know that he put himself in a place to be seen by me, because he could see me. They invited him into their circle. He married white. He was half French, half black. He married white. And everything around him was white. His father-in-law was white because his black father died. And so they put him in. And he said that the woman that he had married turned into something that was not human. And I know that this sounds crazy. This is not science fiction, okay? And he began to cry and said, "We have to believe in that Bible. We must believe in that book," okay? And so he drew a picture of a squid. And out of the picture came he drew a man with his right arm up like this. And he said that the squid was the flesh with suctions on it that had drew the spirit into a superficial life. This man that was working for Denny's, that came back with a suit on. He said, the world is being deceived. This was in 1987. After this man gave me this knowledge, I went to jail. I lost my family. I lost everything. Okay? It's cool. Because I was willing to go through the process or whatever I had to go through in order to reach a people that God want me to reach. Am I anybody special? No. Just someone that says yes. And I pray that you will give that yes. Because the kingdom is depending on you to obey him. The Lord is depending on your obedience to him. The people of our world is dependent on your obedience to him. And I want to say to you that this young man, I didn't keep the napkin. I let my friend keep it. I didn't know that I was never going to see him again. And he said something to me before departing to me. He talked to me all night. All night. Never seen him another day in my life. He said, Gay, remember that it's not about quantity. It's about quality. It's not about quantity. It's about quality. Okay? And he also said, who can find a virtuous woman, which I had never heard that scripture because I had only been saved 1.5 years. Who can find a virtuous woman whose price is far above rubies? And when you have truth, unfortunately, the people that are around you, they have not read the books that you've read. They have not spoken to the Father that you've spoken to, who still are restricted to the 3 dimensions of space and the 4th dimension of time through the nature of their flesh. They're going to come against you because they don't understand. And we are commanded not to hate. We are commanded not to hate because they are ignorant. They are without knowledge. They are living in darkness. And so look at this tape for me, you guys, please, and share it. Share it on your page. Make people aware of what our government is doing to our world. Make people aware of what's going on. And if you like, I will post those other pictures, okay? I won't be up here for about a week or so. I need to spend some time with the Lord. And for those of you that have found it your business to torture me in some way, to hurt me in some way, to hurt my husband, because you knew he was not, my equal, God forgive you because I forgive you. I forgive you. You understand? Because you don't know that it's bigger than you. It's bigger than me. This is a bigger problem than us individually. And this is why it's so imperative that we come together as one. Black and white, Jew and Gentile, male and female. So we can begin to collect the harvest and influence our world. Okay? Just look at the video. And I pray that it affects you the way that it affected me. Okay? Support our brother Mike. He's really going through a whole lot having to do with what he's doing. Alright? He's really going through a whole lot for you to know the truth. Okay? I just want you to know that. Alright? I love you guys. And keep me in your prayers. Because it's not easy. It's not easy to be true, It's not easy, And there's so many people out here trying to make you what they are. But we are no longer going to let the reflection of the big machine reflect into our souls so we can become everybody else. We're going to go in. We're going to be a solid. We're going to be what the Lord called us to be so we can go out here and infiltrate our world. They're dependent on us. I love you, Facebook family. You guys have a wonderful Saturday, okay? And I hope that I touch you in some way because this was really on my heart, all right? Bye-bye.